What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got some more NBA news to, of course, be talking about with you guys. This time I wanted to talk about the recent news that's kind of been floating around recently that actually does suggest that the Boston Celtics are extremely interested in signing Carmelo Anthony following his recent, following Danilo Gallinari's recent injury, and this is all being reported by Scoops. Now, again, I actually think this is a great decision by the Boston Celtics. We know that the Boston Celtics have been looking at quite a number of players, it does seem right now. And again, it's not really clear who they're necessarily going to sign. It's actually not even clear, really, if Carmelo even wants to go to the Boston Celtics, as it is being said that he has a lot of options and has actually met with an apparent 6 NBA teams by now, and all of them have major interest in him. It's just whether or not, you know, he will pick them and who he's eventually going to decide to sign with. I believe as well there's even been an offer that's been sitting there by the Lakers for some time, basically meaning that you never actually really know, like a reunion with LeBron James could actually still be happening. You know, the Lakers have decided to do a lot of different things this off-season by kind of getting rid of all the old, you know, core that they had and electing to go much younger and, you know, even bringing in mature age players that I guess kind of haven't gassed their bodies out in the NBA. You know, one of those being Juan Toscano Anderson, actually. Again, I believe he's like 28 or 27, I think, which again, he should be heading into his prime right now, but he definitely plays a little bit younger, I feel like, just because it doesn't seem like he's gassed his body out. And, you know, there are a lot of players that have examples like that in certain sports where they, you know, start in the league a little bit later than most, so they a little bit, you know, have a little bit more energy. You know, one, I think, being a perfect example is Marlon Pickett from the Richmond Tigers in the AFL. I think they picked that guy up at like 26 or 27 to play his first ever season professionally in that football league, and then again, he literally, like, is still playing really good footy at, like, 31 and plays like now he's a 26-year-old. So, again, that's kind of how I feel like they kind of brought in a couple players like that. And then just still younger dudes like Lonnie Walker, etc. But I do still feel like there are a couple of things really missing on this Lakers team. You know, they haven't fixed what they're going to be wanting to do with Russell Westbrook. He still has yet to be traded. The big trade that's being rumored is Miles Turner and Buddy Hield for Westbrook and 2 firsts. But the Lakers are really hesitant on that because I think they genuinely think after this season and the season after that, I think they think LeBron is probably going to be back off to Cleveland or whatever team potentially drafts his son, which I think Cleveland will heavily try to do. Again, so I think that's what the reason they're kind of very hesitant on that. I still would make the move if I was them to potentially do that trade. But then there's also, I still feel like you need some potential of those veteran type of players like a Carmelo Anthony. I don't think his age stops the fact, you know, that he's still a really decent scorer in the NBA. And even though he's got no defense, I mean, there are a lot of things the Lakers still need to fix, and I would still say they probably still need to add another scorer, you know, ball 3-point shooting, and even just mid-range, and I think, or just shooting in general, really. And I still think Carmelo Anthony kind of ticks that off for them. Still a really nice player, but if you're looking at the Boston Celtics as well, that's also a very good move for them to potentially bring him in, as the Boston Celtics have, again, they're kind of looking for that, I feel like, a forward off the bench that can also, you know, come in and help score. You know, they thought Danilo Gallinari was going to be one of those dudes that could be a, you know, a scorer off the bench. They've got a lot of scorers in that starting 5, but off the bench, it's a little bit more slim. And yeah, I definitely feel like adding another scorer off that bench wouldn't be a bad thing. The other, I think, thing to look at is if there's any team out there that can kind of give up the lack of defense that Carmelo Anthony, I guess, doesn't bring to an NBA team, you'd probably have to say it would potentially be Boston. I mean, they've got defenders legitimately all over that team. Like, nearly every single player in their starting lineup is legitimately capable of being a very, very good defender. You look at Marcus Smart at point guard, literally the defensive player of the year. So that's like straight up right there. Shooting guard, Jaylen Brown, elite defender, especially at the 2. At the 3, Jason Tatum. It's probably the worst defender in the starting 5, but yeah, I still feel like he's underrated at what he does. You know, power forward, Al Horford, again, elite, you know, defender, especially on the perimeter and for his age. And then, you know, of course as well, you look at kind of what not only that Al Horford is able to do on switching with Robert Williams at that 5 and Robert Williams going to the 4 as well. Both of them able to switch very, very easily to the other position. Both are decent at guarding the perimeter and the interior. And again, Robert Williams at literally, he's listed at 6'7", 203 centimeters, I believe. That is insane that he's that high and able to do what he does, getting around 9.5 rebounds per game and 2.2 blocks. The guy is an absolute beast defensively, is what I'm trying to say here. And then again, off the bench, I guess now they brought in Malcolm Brogdon, who will probably start on this team. Another really good, I think, perimeter defender for that matter. Derek White as well, I feel like, is definitely an okay defender. And they did have Daniel Tice on their team not long ago, who was also a capable defender. So bringing in Carmelo Anthony, you definitely shouldn't be, I feel like, worrying about the lack of defense he brings. Again, you brought in Danilo Gallinari with that same thinking, where you would kind of like to yourself, well, Danilo Gallinari might not be a good defender, but he makes up for it in other categories that he does, you know, being his shot creation, his three-point shooting, just his field percentage in general. And then you're looking at Carmelo Anthony, and you kind of say the exact same thing. Again, not as good as Danilo Gallinari in terms of true shooting, with us three-point shooting, the mid-range. But again, I definitely feel like his shot creation outshines what Gallinari does, and it kind of adds something to the bench. Let's just say, you know, you put Malcolm Brogdon in that starting lineup, you move Smart to the 2, you know, Brown to the 3, Tatum to the 4, and then I think you'd probably have Williams to the 5. You bring Horford off that bench, they're going to have a lot of these players off the bench that are really good role players, like Al Horford, you know, like a Grant Williams as well, but you're not necessarily, I think, going to have that #1 shot creator. You know, they kind of, I felt like, looked at Dennis Schroeder being that guy last season. He was in and out of the starting lineup, and his shot creation, it just wasn't good, and it's another reason why he finds himself not on an NBA team at the moment. So yeah, it is a very difficult one when you do, of course, look at that, but again, there is a lot kind of going over here that I feel like if you are the Boston Celtics, you are looking at yourself and you are saying that bringing in a dude like Carmelo Anthony is definitely a good thing. Might not bring the defense in, but he definitely brings the shooting, veteran leadership, all that type of stuff that I think you definitely want. And although his history hasn't been that good on NBA teams other than potentially Portland, I think, again, look, I would say that his days of ruining chemistry on an NBA team, where that was what he was doing on Houston, where it just became a big mess, what happened at OKC, where a couple of the players and him would often argue and all that type of stuff, I think that's long behind him. On Portland, he was great with Dame. There was no issues with the chemistry. Again, he sometimes hurt the ball movement, but I guess if you always want to bring in a shot creator, that's just what's naturally going to happen at times. So yeah, again, Carmelo Anthony I think will help out a lot, and I definitely feel like it would be a move for the Boston Celtics that they should consider doing. But of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment your thoughts and opinions on this down below. Do you guys agree with everything that I've said? Would Carmelo be good in Boston, or would he not? Should he re-sign with the Lakers or go to a different team? Definitely let me know all of your thoughts and opinions on this down below. But as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.